Hi, I'm Henrik. My purpose is to inspire and train people to do things more productively so that they can have more time to focus on what really matters. It's about achieving more by working smart and prioritizing well using simple tools and rituals. Your daily routines consist of all your habits. These actions structure your day and make the difference. You can have energizing, time-saving routines or adopt draining, inefficient routines. Get organized, to me, is the path towards optimizing work-life balance and providing sufficient time to focus on what is important. Being organized, in my opinion, is a foundation for living a life that is more fulfilling and intentional. Being more effective and efficient will put you in the driver's seat of your life. It will help you to take a quantum leap, to take ownership and control and plan your time optimally. Because we all know that time is our most finite resource. Being organized will give you the freedom to spend more time on issues which are truly important in your job or in your personal life. Overall, I work with 4 building blocks to help you on that path to do things more productively, so that you can have more time to focus on what really matters. 1. Email management. 2. Task management. 3. Calendar management. 4. Meeting management. Each of these building blocks have a set of 4 pragmatic and easy to implement tools. You may look at the building blocks as your owner's manual that can put you in the best position to undertake some powerful changes in your life. In this, I will take you through all building block practices and the implementation tools. My concept is based on my own experience, proven methods, and the many executives I have trained in the past 13 years. Developing the concept, I have emphasized on it being pragmatic and simple because it must be easy to understand and easy to implement. I'm a global sales and efficiency optimization expert with more than 30 years experience in international senior level management and leadership. I have trained associates, leaders, managers, directors, and CEOs around the globe in personal productivity and effective meetings. After ventures in many places around the world, I'm back in my hometown, Copenhagen in Denmark. You can reach me at henrik@spandet.com or look me up at LinkedIn and let us link up there. You can read more about Get Organized at getorganized.training. At getorganized.training, you'll find more information about my training programs and my book on the subject. My book is a full manual and it comes with detailed appendix training material as well. The training material is based on Microsoft Outlook, but the principles in, for instance, Google or Lotus Notes are very similar. When you order my book, you will get free appendix training material on top of it. I just told you that I'm back in my hometown, Copenhagen in Denmark. This is only partially true. It's where I live, but right now I am in Hua Hin in Thailand. This is where most of this material has been filmed and produced. I took my own medicine and I used my 4 building blocks and used those practices also in connection with writing both my book and presenting this material. I turned around my life on purpose. I planned it. And I decided to write my book and to create the training content in Thailand. I enjoy Copenhagen. It's my hometown and where my family lives. I work as little as possible, 6 hours max daily to be exact. Fully intentional. I put emphasis to be with my kids there, my daily exercise, including my daily 10,000 steps. I take a dip in the cold sea all year round. I'm with friends and family. I enjoy life and I live a meaningful and purposeful life. I travel to Thailand to have full focus on writing, doing strategic thoughts. You can call it selfish or disciplined, or even stupid to work in Thailand, or maybe not completely balanced. It's your choice. But it was my choice because I planned it this way. I decided, I planned, I actioned, and I implemented. It took ownership. I took ownership of what I wanted because I want to be the CEO of my life. I decided to leave the hamster wheel and a lot of other stuff which didn't make me happy or meant much to me. Because I could, and because you can. I get up early also in Thailand. It gets hot around here around 7 or 9 a.m. So I start getting my 10,000 steps on the beach in the early morning. I do some yoga. Then I work 4 hours and I do that fully focused. Europe sleeps, no phones, no emails, just focus work and no sunny beaches and tourists. After lunch, which is prepared and served by someone else than me, because it's affordable and gives me much more valuable time, I focus again on emails and work, which came in from around the world, and I do that for approximately 2 hours. I work in time blocks to keep me focused. Then I work for 2 hours on my book, my content, and on myself. Fully focused work. Believe me, those fully couple of focused hours are more productive than a whole day for most people living in the hamster wheel. After that, I visit the fitness center and I go for a rough Thai massage, followed by an early, simple Thai dinner on the beach. Then I talk to my family for an hour or so, and at 10 p.m. I'm in bed and I sleep like a rock. 2 weeks like that in Thailand is the same as 2 months of work in Denmark for me in terms of productivity. By the way, remember, some of the greatest regrets of dying people are, I'd wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. Back to the Get Organized concept. The mechanics behind the concept are pragmatic, easy to understand, to use and implement, because success comes from subtraction, not addition. I work with a system which is distilled down to its simplest form for more than 30 years. If you add a positive mindset to the mechanics, you will achieve fast results and long-lasting effects. It will quickly be more fulfilling than overwhelming. Whether you're working on more fulfilling relationship or how you live a more satisfying life, it requires a redesign of old habits into healthy and productive habits. An example could be going from working reactively to working proactively. All this may sound very rigid and firm, and in many ways that's the intent. You don't lose weight or improve your health from reading recipes or training magazines. Just look at my fat, chubby face. You create a habit of exercising or eating healthy every day, and then you implement daily. You become what you eat and train, not what you read. The same principle applies for becoming more organized. It requires more than just reading this book or attending my training. Becoming more organized is a powerful step and start of a meaningful journey. To make it work, it requires discipline and a system, not just a goal. The way I look at the difference between a goal and a practice: a goal, I want to have more time for stuff which matters. Practice, I will create a system with daily habits to become more effective and efficient, and I will apply sufficient discipline daily. Discipline will get you where you want to be so that you can do what you want. I believe that results are achieved by combining mechanics with mindset. Motivation is what gets you started. The habit is what keeps you going. It's about turning our intentions into invisible, visible, and automatic habits that influence where your attention goes. Don't expect to be motivated every day. True discipline is grounded in your ability to leave your comfort zone. Jim Rohn, motivational speaker, said, "Everybody must choose one of two pains, the pain of discipline or the pain of regrets." I wish you good luck and a successful implementation. Very few institutions or schools teach us how to do things more productively so that we can have more time to focus on what really matters. My mission is to help you to become more effective and efficient. You'll be able to accomplish stuff much faster, and you get more time for things that matter to you. At least 30 minutes every day, and likely much more. 2, improve prioritization. You will do the right stuff proactively instead of just doing stuff right. You will spend your 24 hours, which you receive every day, optimally. 3, gain energy, become more creative, and have a free mind. When your physical world is set up to support you, your mind has space to think about more strategic issues. 4, reduce distractions. You will focus on the stuff being important to you and work with higher quality output. You'll be in a better position to say no to others and delegate stuff because you are in control and people will notice that you are in control. 5, experience increased focus on today. The past is gone and the future is planned and prioritized. You will focus on one person or at one task at a time. It puts you in a better position to be the best executive, leader, spouse, parent, friend that you can be. 6, know where everything is. You have efficient systems to help you do that. You avoid distractions and waste time searching for stuff. Living with clutter and in a chronic state of disorganization causes stress. That includes being unprepared or being unable to find your stuff. With mountains of objects towering over you, you're forced to think about them constantly. 7. Be flexible. You are better equipped to adapt the unforeseen and build in slack when you are in control of your day-to-day life. 8. Sleep better at night and be less stressful. Being organized means going to bed with a clear mind. Let me ask you 6 questions for self-reflection. The first question: do you think you have sufficient time during the day? The second question: do you manage to get all your stuff done at work? Do you have sufficient time with your loved ones and time for yourself on projects you're passionate about? Do you get a good night's sleep? Is everything in balance in your life? The third question: have you noticed that some people seem to have more time than others? Although all of us have the same time available to spend, 24 hours to be exact. That's the time credit all of us receive every day. Are you spending your time credit well? My question number 4. Have you noticed that some people seem to get more done during the day, the week, and their lives? These people also seem to have more time to do what is their passion. Do you belong to that group, or are you doing a lot but inefficiently? My 5th question: have you noticed that most executives who manage their time and priorities somehow get promoted more often than the unproductive executives? Are you one of them? These 5 questions could be summarized into a 6th question. What steps are you taking to gain control and run your day instead of letting the day run you? As an efficiency trainer, I meet business executives all over the world who have too much to handle and insufficient time to stay on top of hundreds of emails per day, managing often unproductive meetings throughout the day, attempting to get their priorities set and trying to protect time for their social and family lives. When I train teams or individuals, I see many who are overloaded because they lack efficient and effective email, meeting, and task management. They do not have one system, or they have several or too many systems. Where other people or colleagues seem to be productive and getting their stuff done, they have too much to do, or they think they haven't done enough. They're using precious time inefficiently, ineffectively, and stressfully. They're setting themselves up for failure. As one of my clients, a human resources director for one of the largest companies in the world, said to me, "Henrik, we end up in this situation because we lack clarity. To implement your new way of working, you need to spend time preparing and reflecting on how you approach work, how you deal with tasks, how you prioritize, and how you identify the purpose with stuff. It's about clarity, identifying what is important to you, and then you act according to that purpose. It's learning how to diffuse the conflict, which can rear up when you're pulled in different directions at once. Constant dealing with burning platforms combined with no overview of your tasks and lacking prioritization is a very effective way to get stressed and eventually ill. Do you get the right stuff done in the right priority and effectively? A proper overview of your tasks will help you to prioritize correctly. Once it has become a natural habit, you don't have to think so much about it. Just like my dentist, who recommended me to use a toothpick daily to maintain a good condition of my teeth. It requires some discipline at the beginning, but then it became a natural habit. It's not only about the ability to do more in a shorter time. It's also about getting rid of some stuff or reducing the prioritization of some stuff which is not important but only urgent or even unimportant and not urgent. Consider subtracting instead of adding. Remove complexity from your systems. Keep things simple and tidy. It's about action, not only motion. Repeated daily actions will eventually become habits. It's not only about doing things right, but more importantly, to do the right things in the right priority. To get long-lasting effects, you must be committed, disciplined, and prepared to work on establishing new habits. Without discipline, you get nowhere apart from consuming a lot of books like this one, or training courses like this one. Without you buying into the concept and adopting new habits, there will be no long-lasting effects. Whether or not you feel organized can have a big impact on your mental well-being. Disorganization can cause a wide range of feelings, from mild irritation to annoyance, anger and resentment, anxiety and overwhelm. On the other hand, when you're organized, you feel calmer, more focused, and more in control. Being organized helps you to feel on top of things. You have systems in place so that it requires less mental energy to get things done. It gives you breathing space and it will buffer you against the inevitable, which includes unforeseen tasks, events, and burning platforms. Life will always throw curveballs. The confidence you get from being organized helps you deal with those unexpected blips that come your way. It also gives you time to be creative and to take on unplanned projects because you are in control. You maintain a good overview of your prioritizations and priorities, and you can be flexible when things do not go as planned. It is about becoming the CEO of your own life by taking control. Don't let your present situation be a milestone or ambition. Create more meaningful life, also in terms of being organized. You may want to visualize and create a mental picture that you have a clean inbox, a well-structured task list, and a view of your calendar of the week with activities you dream of having. How should such a task list and such a calendar look next week? Let me give you my usual observations when I start up a training program. A full inbox of read and unread emails, several lists with tasks. Often tasks are kept in the head, lack of overview, lack of prioritization, Unimportant work is done on account of important tasks. Difficulty in overcoming procrastination. Emails are read several times without action. Too many unconstructive meetings. Too little time during the day to do the actual work. Stress, no joy at work, and lack of sleep. The day is running the executive. There's a need to break habits. Now, what's your situation in terms of being organized? Taking control of your day, week, and life? What would be your answers to these 4 questions? If you do not prioritize yourself, someone else will. Everyone has daily access to the same 24 hours, 1,440 minutes, or so and so many seconds. But it's how people manage their time, and that has a big impact on work-life balance. Successful people manage their time effectively. In 2017, Bill Gates and Warren Buffett were interviewed by Charlie Rose about time. It's not a proxy of your seriousness that you filled every minute in your schedule, Bill Gates said. Warren Buffett continued by saying, people are going to want your time. It's the only thing you can't buy. I can buy anything I want, Buffett said, basically, but I can't buy time. Time is the only true luxury. Imagine someone credits your bank account with $1,440 every midnight. No obligations to pay back the $1,440. No questions asked. The only drawback, whatever balance left on the account disappears every midnight. No transfer of balance is allowed. What would you do? My guess, you would spend all the money every day in the best possible way. Each of us has such a bank. The bank is called time. Money comes and goes. Time never comes. Every midnight, you're credited with 1,440 minutes for the next 24 hours. Whatever has not been spent disappears from your account. The day after, you receive another 1,440 minutes. The overall 4 building blocks and game changers to help you with focus, work-life balance, right priorities, and efficiency are: 1. Email management. 2. Task management. 3. Calendar management. 4. Meeting management. Each of these building blocks have a set of 4 pragmatic and easy to implement tools. I'll elaborate on all of them. You may look at the building blocks as your owner's manual that can put you in the best position to undertake some powerful changes in your life. You may replace the word management with discipline, if you like, because it's about managing yourself. Managing yourself requires discipline and a daily rhythm, just like exercise or nutrition. For many, it's a repetitive program every morning or in the evening. People who do this do not only do it for the fun of it, they do it as an investment in their health and to live an overall better and eventually longer life. Some people are also more disciplined on what they eat or drink. They know that discipline has a big effect on their health, their weight, and their life expectancy. The tools presented to you in this book are no different from exercise or your nutrition. It's about a daily level of rituals which will be the path towards a better balance of work and life. It's done out of love to yourself because you know that it will help you towards a better and more fulfilling life. My belief is that being more organized and disciplined will give you the freedom to spend more time on issues which are truly important in your job or in your personal life. That includes creativity. Don't count on motivation only, count on discipline. Don't expect to be motivated every day to get out there and make things happen. Being disciplined and using daily productivity habits will help you to reserve and block time in your calendar to be creative and much more. In the following, I will take you through the 4 building block practices and the 4 easy to implement tools for each of the building blocks. Let us start out with the first building block, email management. The first of the 4 implementation tools in the building block, email management, is Inbox Zero with the following headlines. The inbox is not a task list. Desk and inbox should be kept clean. Remove all the noise. Emails can either be the greatest asset or the biggest detriment to your productivity. My concept includes a clean, empty inbox at the end of the day, every day. You may think this is impossible, but let me tell you this, it is possible. Most of the executives I've trained maintain an empty inbox even after 10 years. Just like a desk shouldn't be full of paper and look like a mess, the inbox is not the right place to keep your tasks. It's a fantastic feeling to have a clean kitchen before you go to bed. Your inbox should be clean just like your desk, or your kitchen should also be clean. Your new habit includes taking control of your inbox. I believe that the email will continue to dominate the communication in many companies for many years to come. Whilst many companies have started out using communication platforms such as Slack, Google, Workspace, and the email may be headed for extinction. The email, Gmail, Apple, Outlook, etc. still continues to be the preferred communication tool. According to Adobe, respondents reported spending an average of 209 minutes checking their work email and 143 minutes checking their personal email, for a total of 352 minutes each day. That's almost 6 hours daily. The second of the 4 implementation tools in the building block email management is Take Control with the following headlines. Take control. Be proactive. Fight procrastination. Do it the first time around. Instead of working on something important, you end up procrastinating and spending time trying to decide or worrying about what to do next. Procrastination, one of the most efficient ways to be unproductive, is trying to decide what to do but not deciding. This probably sounds silly, but if you look at most planning techniques, they are mostly designed to reduce the amount of time you must spend deciding on what to do. The only way to come around your emails is acting upon them at a time you have set aside to do so. Spend the remainder of the time to do what you were hired to do. That is not to read emails. Surely an email is part of your work, but it shouldn't be your focus. If you have responsibility also for strategic leadership, for instance. Procrastination slows your goals and dreams way down. Procrastination can create stress and feelings of frustration. It can cause sleepless nights and make time management and prioritization useless. Subconsciously, most of us know that we procrastinate. It's a choice we make to avoid something. It's not only a question of poor time management or being lazy. It's a result of unpleasant emotions hijacking our mood to avoid the subject. We all procrastinate, some more than others. When you procrastinate, you're giving undesired thoughts, feelings, and sensations power over you when you try to control or avoid them. Like a professional athlete giving in on his nutrition or daily exercise routines. There's always some kind of explanation for why you can't. Whether it makes sense or not doesn't matter. Your mind accepts it. Not meeting your goals and deadlines can ruin your career. It can lower your self-esteem or damage your health. Procrastination makes the difference between winning the medal in professional sports. Procrastination can affect missing a small deadline or a big project and changes you want to implement in your life. There are many reasons for procrastinating. You may be a perfectionist, wanting to do everything perfect before moving on. You look for the perfect solution or the perfect technique. You don't take the step forward while you obsessively look for the perfect step. Or you're stuck and afraid to decide and move on. Other people are stuck in just being busy, being in constant motion to feel productive and constantly ignoring the important stuff on account of not so important stuff. Tasks such as doing a 5-minute task in the kitchen or reading a newsletter in the inbox are being prioritized on account of planning and executing a more time-consuming and important project. A project which would require, let's say, a 2-hour focused work. As one of my clients told me, Henrik, I get a lot of stuff done daily. Well, just ask my colleagues. I asked her, are you sure you get the right stuff done? Many executives who are presented with, say, 5 deadlines during a specific week would wait with those 5 tasks until Thursday night instead of doing 1 task daily during the week. They do it for many reasons. One reason could be a high level of perfectionism. It could also be lack of proper weekly planning or prioritization. Some people don't feel confident in their ability to do them correctly and procrastinate as a result. Others work better under pressure and wait until Thursday night. Procrastination exists for many reasons, and only you know for yourself what your triggers are. How can you beat procrastination? To beat procrastination once and for all, it's best to find out your true motives for what you want to do. Motivation is the urge to complete a marathon, do well at work, and get in shape, etc. Without motivation, you wouldn't have the desire to strive for excellence. Don't count on motivation only. Being motivated, disciplined, and using daily productivity habits will help you. That's how you win in sports, or why you end up being the chosen candidate for a dream job instead of somebody else. Your daily routine consists of all your habits. These rituals and actions structure your day and make the difference. By forming a ritual, like brushing your teeth, using toothpicks, or processing emails 3 times daily, you save yourself time from thinking about what to do next. When you don't need to think about what to do next, you can go autopilot and focus on completing your important tasks. Many of my clients deal with the more difficult or unpleasant tasks first time around, in the morning. Eat the frog, as we say. If you do that, you will find the remainder of the day being more enjoyable. Consider doing the most important thing or task first each day. Do not end up just being in motion, but also action daily. Do your bed when you wake up and stay disciplined for your own good. Don't procrastinate such a task till the afternoon. How to eat an elephant. Break down a large project into many small tasks. For example, you may break down a large project such as an extensive report to your management team into the following tasks. 1. Research information to include in the presentation. 2. Find out who you can consult for advice. 3. Decide on the structure of the presentation with recommendation, presentation, discussion, conclusion. 4. Create the slides for the presentation. 5. Structure the sequence of the presentation. 6. Add graphics and pictures. 7. Decide on a short introduction with recommendation. 8. Proofread. Only open up your emails and read them if you have the time to process. Otherwise, you end up reading the email several times, which is a very unproductive way to spend your day. Use the 5D principle to process emails. The 5D principle to process emails consists of 5 possible actions. 1. Delete. 2. Delegate. 3. Dump. Move it to a folder. 4. Do it now if it takes less than, say, 2 to 5 minutes. 5. Do it later. Move to the task list if it takes more than 2 to 5 minutes. Most of us are wasting a lot of time daily when we look at emails on our mobile device or on our PC without acting on the email. Why look at an email without acting? It's a waste of time, and it distracts you from what you're doing right now. Most of us have a fear of missing out, FOMO. That includes reading emails constantly without acting upon them. The same goes for social media, trying to keep up with opinions of billions of postings daily. I recommend allocating some time to process emails instead. For instance, 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes around noon or afternoon, and 30 minutes at the end of office hours. When you have 10 minutes or 30 minutes to act on your emails, do so. Otherwise, don't. Never leave the email in your inbox and reread it later. Be conscious about spending your time and spending your time optimally. Time is money. Time is not refundable. Use it with intention. Prioritizing is the condition to work correctly. Using the 5D principle, ask yourself the following question processing emails. or processing paper. A way to do it daily is asking yourself, should I do something about this email? Yes or no? If it is a no, then either delete, dump, or delegate the email. If it is a yes, then do it now if it takes less than 2 to 5 minutes. Do not think so much about prioritizing, but get the email out of this world. 5, do it later by moving the email to your task list. If it takes more than 2 to 5 minutes, you need to task it. Otherwise, you may end up starting on a task which is not as important as another task on your task list. Never ever answer maybe to this question. Do not procrastinate. Take control, process and act. By processing your emails this way, you may save at least 30 minutes daily, likely more. The last of the 4 implementation tools in the building block email management is emails should not be read or processed 24/7. With the following headlines. Every time you read an email, you get defocused from your work. Get an ease of mind to focus on other work or personal areas. Have time to focus on your work and projects. Do not use too many communication platforms on top of emails, messenger, texts, etc. You may think that all emails are important and need instant attention. What would be the consequence if you decided to only read emails at specific time slots where you had the time to do so? Would the quality of your work decrease or increase? Would you lose clients or would you lose the respect of your boss doing so? Would you have a better focus on your present activity and your strategic responsibilities if you decided not to read your emails all the time and several times? If you read emails constantly, how do you focus and make a deep dive into project work? It takes an average of about 25 minutes, 23 minutes and 15 seconds to be exact, to return to the original task after an interruption, according to Gloria Mark, who studies digital distraction at the University of California. Make an estimate on how many times you are distracted during an average workday. Now take that number and multiply it by 25. That's how many minutes of concentration you're losing daily. To make sure it's helping you, schedule specific blocks of time into your day to deal with it. Try picking 2 or 3 times a day to check it. After the first building block, email management, let us move on to the second building block, task management. The first of the 4 implementation tools in the building block, task management, is a task list is a list of opportunities with the following headlines. A task list is a list of opportunities. A task list is like the menu card in a restaurant. The menu is not the meal. Look at the task lists in the same way as the menu card. A task list is a list of opportunities which need to be prioritized, just like the meal in the restaurant. You cannot do everything on your task list, just like you wouldn't eat the entire menu. If you don't plan well and focus on choosing the right dishes, You may end up eating 4 starters and never get to the main dish or the dessert. It's the same thing with a task list. You need to prioritize. Let someone else taste your tasks. You shouldn't do everything. Skip some of the dishes or tasks by prioritizing ruthlessly. A way to prioritize is using the Eisenhower prioritization matrix. It's a mental planning matrix or tool for the tasks with 4 boxes. Number 1 is urgent and important. Number 2 is not urgent but important. Number 3 is urgent but not important. Number 4 is not urgent and not important. The prioritization matrix will be elaborated under track 3.4. The second of the 4 implementation tools in the building block task management is use only one task list with the following headlines. Use only one task list. Nobody can prioritize several lists easily. Do not keep your tasks in your head or in your inbox. Most people have a very complex system for remembering, or rather forgetting, their tasks. My system is simple. Because of its simplicity, it works in the long run. So next to the new habit of 0 emails, you need to work with a task list. One task list, not several task lists. Never use the inbox as a task list. The task list should include tasks from paper or your meeting notebook as well. You can move tasked emails to the task list as well, for instance in Outlook. I always recommend the electronic task versions. You cannot add an email task to a manual task list. Although I must admit that I like to write on a piece of paper, it's not productive. Working with several task lists makes it impossible to get an overview and prioritize. Tasks are kept in the inbox, on paper, on sticky notes, in notebooks, on note apps, on mobile phones, on Excel sheets, and many more places. It's a good idea to have a notebook to take notes to remember. The tasks in the notebook need to be transferred to the task list. The worst place to keep a task is in your head. The head should be used to focus on the present moment and the meetings and tasks of today. The future is planned in your calendar and your task list and needs no focus today. The more information bouncing around inside your head, the harder it is to decide what needs attention. If you think about things to remember, you get defocused. Just like being disturbed by an incoming email from somebody who thinks he or she is more important than your present project you are deeply involved with and focused on. It affects the quality of your work and your ability to be proactive when you are defocused or constantly reacting to other people's needs. You may think that nothing will happen to the tasks while you're making your list. That's correct. They are just on a list. During that time, you could have answered 10 emails and made 2 phone calls. That's also correct. However, those 10 emails and the 2 phone calls would have been done randomly and without any priority setting. Creating and maintaining a task list gives you the option of doing the right things and prioritize. It also gives you the overview that you may have already too many tasks. If you have a good overview and if you are in control, it is much easier to say no. Without this overview, you have no basis for saying yes or no. You have lost control, or you are not in control, and other people are running you. They will know you're not in control, although you try to hide it. Next to communicating and aligning next week with your boss or your team, another initiative would be to discuss deviations from last week's time plan, just like we do with sales deviations compared to budgets. That could include questions such as, did you manage what you wanted to do? Were you too ambitious in your planning? Should you learn to be more efficient? How can you use the lessons learned next week, etc.? Saying no to unreasonable requests may be difficult, but it can be one of the most effective ways to get more time to do what is important. As such, declining and saying no to extra tasks that are unreasonably urgent or unimportant can be the key to staying productive. After all, doing one thing well is more important than doing several things badly. Some companies have implemented dedicated project management systems such as Trello, Asana, Milestones, Microsoft Teams, and Monday.com, where you organize your team's projects, customize workflows, and visualize how much time is spent on each project, individually, team, or total project tracking. Most individuals and teams don't need fancy project management tools. Most normal people doing normal jobs will do well with normal productivity tools to get their job done effectively and efficiently. Third of the 4 implementation tools in the building block task management is prioritize both meetings and tasks in your calendar with the following headlines. Prioritize time in your calendar for both tasks and meetings. Set aside time for time-consuming tasks. That could be, for instance, more than 1 hour or half an hour tasks. It's important to give both meetings and tasks the same attention. Look at both your tasks for the day, week, and your meetings for the day and the week, and prioritize ruthlessly. Do not move all your tasks to the calendar, but make sure that you have slack in your calendar also to act on less time-consuming tasks. Do not enter a task directly into your calendar. Use the task list. Doing that, you have a full overview of your tasks in the task list and can reserve time on several days to finalize a task with a deadline later during the week or the month. If you delete one of those copied tasks in Outlook, for instance, in your calendar, the task itself will stay on the task list with the original deadline. You will find more information and elaborations under the block 3, Calendar Management. The last of the 4 implementation tools in the building block task management is a definition of tasks with the following headlines. Tasks can be easy, quick to-dos. Tasks can be time-consuming tasks. And tasks can be projects with several sub-tasks. Tasks can be long-term bucket list dreams, ambitions. Tasks should always have a balance between personal, family, and work. I like simplicity. I'll make an exemption here. Usually, I generalize by using the broad term task. You may want to differentiate the term task and think about short-term to-dos, examples: buy milk, call my mother. B, tasks, an example: prepare material for the management meeting. Or C, project tasks, milestones, key KPIs, improve the gross margin by 5 percentage points, etc. And D, long-term bucket list, example: write a book or create a course on time management. Use the task list for all those definitions without segment. Keep things simple. Consider all categories and tasks. Alternatively, you may want to start naming each of the tasks with an A, B, C, D, or 0, 1, 0, 2, etc. to differentiate the category. You may want to consider categories for important projects and consider a category for the long-term bucket list with due dates 6 or 12 months ahead. Then they don't block too much of your short-term planning time. After the first two building blocks, email management, task management, let us move on to the third building block, calendar management. The first of the 4 implementation tools and game changers in the building block calendar management is check-in, check-out, and weekly tactical Friday meeting or command meeting with the following headlines. Check-in and check-out meetings should be a daily habit. The weekly tactical command meeting on Friday, usually, should be a weekly habit. Here's how to start acting on getting organized through meetings with yourself in your calendar. A, morning meeting, the check-in. When? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. My recommendation is to start focusing on your calendar, then your tasks, and only then your emails. The good news is that you had an empty inbox the day before. Consequently, you only have to deal with the 12 to 20 emails which you received overnight. Those emails might change your day planning slightly. You may have to do minor adjustments, but not a lot. Objective of the meeting: focus on today. Run your day today. Know your key 2 to 3 tasks and your 2 to 3 meetings planned in the checkout yesterday. Process your incoming mails since checkout yesterday according to the 5D. Adjust the day slightly based on these emails. Some might need to be tasks for today. You may have to shift slightly around on your day. Afternoon, evening meeting, the checkout. When? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, not Friday, because that's where you have the tactical command meeting. Objective of that meeting is focus on tomorrow, clean up, process the inbox to 0 emails according to the 5D principle, clean up, update the tasks of today and tomorrow. I suggest you enter the check-in and the check-out in your calendar as recurring events. Show up for the meetings as natural habit to take control of your day. Tactical command meeting, planning meeting, weekly planning meeting. When? Friday afternoon, or if not possible, then Sunday evening. Before you know, it's Friday, and that's a time for a very important activity, the weekly planning meeting, the tactical command meeting with yourself. The meeting where you take control and ensure the right focus for next week or the weeks ahead. A meeting focused on prioritization and you. I think this is the most important recurring activity you can give yourself as a strong form of self-love. You set aside 1 or 1.5 hours for this meeting and ignore current pleasures for bigger rewards to come. Objective of the meeting. Determine the order of the meetings and tasks for next week. Review goals. Set goals for next weeks. Mind dump. Get a peace of mind. Know your 3 most important tasks or milestones and most important meetings next week. Review the current week. What worked well and what didn't work so well? What habits do I need to adapt? The checklist for the tactical command meeting. What needs to be done? What would I like to get done? Update the complete task list. Move all tasks next week to Friday. Review meetings next week and plan realistically. When is there room for my tasks all now on Friday? Which priority should I have on my tasks on which weekdays? Move the tasks to the relevant weekdays. Prioritize. Make room in the calendar for time-consuming tasks and preparations, also prior to the deadline. Set aside time for unforeseen tasks and meetings. Usually this happens always on a Monday. Which task can you delegate, automate, delete, or get rid of? Set aside time for additional strategic, not urgent, but important tasks. Ref the Eisenhower matrix. A milestone task which may need to get started next week. Actions needed to complete or get started. Do I need to remind somebody? Do I need to follow up? Send further information today to anyone before next week? Am I well prepared for the meetings next week? Are there pre-reads? Do I understand the objective of the meetings I'm invited to? Based on last week's performance or this week's performance, is the plan for next week realistic? Just like reserving time for strategic long-term projects and bucket list projects, you may also consider planning meetings where you do the real long-term planning in addition to the Friday tactical command meeting. The Friday tactical command meeting is, as the word stipulates, more tactical than long-term strategic. I typically take out a few hours monthly to do more long-term planning and reserve time for my long-term bucket list projects like writing a book or creating a course, and reserve the time to do so well in advance. This is long-term proactive planning to get my priorities right and to make sure that I have time to focus on what really matters to me. Always make sure that your tactical actions are aligned with your long-term goals. What needs to be eliminated to operate more efficiently? You may want to ask yourself. Run your day. Build in Slack. Be realistic with the following headlines. Run your day. Build in Slack for the unforeseen. Be realistic. Build in time for focused work. Do not be too over-optimistic and overconfident. People with a 100% full calendar are heading for problems. You will always be exposed to unplanned, urgent and important stuff, burning platforms, which will require your immediate attention. You need to be realistic in your weekly plan. Think back or look at the plans you had in the past couple of months. Did you accomplish what you planned to? Did you miss out on a personal or business project? Week after week? Because you were hit by reality, ended up in long meetings, or because you were over-optimistic in your planning? Embrace the approach using your calendar to block off time to finish specific projects, work on strategic initiatives, or just getting a well-deserved break. For those of you who find yourself bogged down in calls or meetings, block off time windows daily, specifically for taking meetings, leaving the remainder of the day for deep work that requires focus. This way, you know you won't interrupt your productivity flow by having to jump on a random 30-minute call or meeting in the middle of what you're working on. Similarly, also consider planning going on vacation and returning from vacation. You may need the Friday before going on vacation to slow down and reschedule or postpone tasks. This is also the time to set up your auto-response well in advance to notify email centers that you will be out of office. You may also need the first Monday when you return to get up to speed again and read and process several hundred of emails. It's a matter of planning and prioritization. Third of the 4 implementation tools in the building block calendar management is calendar and tasks in one view with the following headlines. Marry the calendar and task list, prioritize and plan before you look at your emails. Do not let the emails run you. Categorize your meetings, your tasks in 5 to 10 categories and colors. Start looking at your plan by looking at your day, the planned meetings and tasks. Previously the check-in, the check-out and the weekly tactical Friday command meetings. Always start the day by looking at your planned activities, the meetings and tasks before you start looking at your new emails. Prioritize your meetings and tasks. Always prioritize time in your calendar for both tasks and meetings, and give both meetings and tasks the same attention and priority. Do not move all your tasks to the calendar, but make sure that you have slack in your calendar also to act on less time-consuming tasks or simple to-dos, not in the calendar. The training appendix Some tasks should be planned in the calendar, others not. As mentioned under track 2.4, consider differentiating the tasks between A, simple to-dos. They are small tasks but do not really need to be in your calendar. They can be dealt with during the day where you have free space or free time to do so. B, tasks, reserve time in your calendar for more time-consuming tasks, but not the less consuming ones. And C, projects. Make sure that you have sufficient time reserved in your calendar for these time-consuming projects, big tasks. You will also likely need to reserve time not only on one day of the week, the deadline, but on several days of the week or the month prior to the deadline to accomplish such a project. Time-consuming tasks or projects could be those taking more than half an hour or 1 hour. It's up to you. Only the time-consuming tasks are time reserved in your calendar. Otherwise, the calendar will be jam-packed and you will lose the overview. In Outlook, you can drag all your time-consuming tasks to the calendar. Make sure that you have Slack in your calendar also to act on less time-consuming tasks. By doing so, you ensure that time is reserved for both meetings and tasks. It's important to give both meetings and tasks the same attention. By doing this, you will have a full overview of your tasks in the task lists, and you can prioritize all your tasks. You're also able to reserve time in your calendar on several days in case the task or project, if you like, requires you to work on it for several hours or several days up to the deadline. When you do your next week's plan, Ref Track 3.1, the tactical command meeting, I suggest you start dumping all your next week's tasks with a due date Friday in that specific week. Start planning your meetings, including your personal ones, such as fitness or family events, in the calendar first and prioritize the meetings you really need to attend to. Then start prioritizing your tasks on the weekdays where you have less meetings and more time to attend the tasks. By using the calendar for meetings and time-consuming tasks, you get a very good overview of what is possible and realistic. You work proactively and you do not end up being constantly behind. Categories for tasks and meetings and colors. I recommend using up to 10 task list categories and to use the same categorization in your calendar and eventually also in your emails. Most of my clients use colors for the categories. The visualization makes it easier to get the overview. You'll feel the difference after 1 or 2 weeks working with colors, and you will notice a better visual overview. You start noticing the colors before you read the text. Color coding allows you to find what you need faster and easily identify where everything belongs. It makes planning easier since we can see briefly what categories demand our time. You may use the same categories and colors for your calendar and your tasks. Categories can be numbered 01, 02 up to 10 if you do not want them to be listed alphabetically. For instance, 01 personal could be green, 02 leadership could be red, and so forth. Before you start making a folder structure, consider when was the last time you used it? When was the last time you looked for an email? If the payoff is low, then dump your entire inbox into one reference folder and hope or pray that you may never need any of these emails again. If you need them, use the search function. As an alternative to creating folders for your emails, you may even use the same categories and colors for your emails and just dump all emails categorized in colors into one reference folder. So, either use a reference folder, optionally with categorized emails, or create a folder system built up in the same order and with the same categories as your tasks and calendar categories. The fourth And last of the 4 implementation tools in the building block calendar management is the Eisenhower matrix. When everything feels urgent and important, everything seems equal. We become active and busy, but this doesn't move us any closer to success. Activity is often unrelated to productivity, and busyness rarely takes care of business. If you're struggling to prioritize your task list, try this. Work with a mental planning matrix for tasks, the Eisenhower decision matrix. The 4 quadrants: Q1, important and urgent; Q2, important and not urgent; Q3, not important and urgent; Q4, not important and not urgent. So, how does this work? An urgent task is one that requires immediate attention to complete. An important task is one that furthers your long-term values or goals. Q1, important and urgent. They require immediate focused attention, but also contribute to our long-term vision, goals, or principles. These are do it now tasks. Q2, important and not urgent. These tasks are your compounders, the tasks that compound long-term value in your life. This is where you should try to spend most of your time and energy. Plan it. Q3, not important and urgent. These tasks are the beware category. The tasks that can drain time and energy without contributing to our end goals. These are tasks to delegate. Q4, not important and not urgent. These are the mindless activities like TV and social media that sap our productivity. US adults spend an average of 38 minutes daily on Facebook alone. Could that time be spent more wisely? Limit your time on these, or even better, drop them. Without priorities, people tend to slip into doing urgent but not important stuff instead of doing important and not so urgent stuff. The ultimate goal: spend more time on important tasks that further your long-term values, missions, goals, and principles. In simple terms, manage top right, invest more time in top left, waste less time in the bottom half. I never categorize my tasks according to the 4 quadrants. I use the matrix as a mental framework to help me focus on the top left and top right activities and to spend as little time as possible on the bottom half activities. They are not prioritized. Trying to do everything is not the right productivity strategy. During the day, priority setting might change. Stuff is moving from one quadrant to the other, or from the upper left corner of the box to the lower right corner of the same box. And that's caused by new incidents. That's why you should look at the matrix as a mental planning matrix, which is under constant change. To summarize, here are the overall steps and habits of Get Organized. Process emails only 2 to 3 times daily. Do not read emails all the time. 2. Spend the remainder of your time to do your work and projects. 3. Fight procrastination. Act on emails. Delete, file a quick response. 4. Task all time-consuming emails. Prioritize those emails in the task list. 5. Prioritize meetings and time-consuming tasks in the calendar. 6. Be realistic. Keep some slack in the calendar for the unforeseen. 7. Plan and adjust your meetings and tasks. Daily check-in and a check-out. 8. Plan next week on Friday. Consider strategic planning next to tactical. 9. Work on a healthy balance between time for work, family, and yourself. And remember, when your boss or your customer or your colleague would ask you to do something or ask you whether you have 5 minutes while you're deeply involved in a project, giving away your time to everybody will help nobody. Compared to the first 3 blocks focusing on personal efficiency, this building block involves your team or external stakeholders with whom you meet online, on the phone, or in a meeting room. This is about meetings. The first of the 4 implementation tools and game changers in this building block is meeting management, well-executed meetings with the following headlines. Fewer, shorter, more relevant, motivating, and well-executed meetings with a defined purpose. Consider an efficient meeting starting before the meeting. It's all about planning, being prepared, and demonstrating commitment to each other. It's about reducing the time we spend having meetings to allow more time to work. All meetings should have a purpose and a measurable success criterion, unless we are talking about a truly creative meeting. Being more organized and disciplined with meetings will give you the freedom to spend more time on issues which are truly important in your job or in your personal life. That includes how you orchestrate your meetings. Imagine if you could save 30 to 50% of the time of your meetings and that the meetings would have a better outcome. Meetings being strictly managed are often efficient if decisions are to be taken and projects being rolled out. Some cultures are more consensus focused than others. Other cultures are more power-based with an acceptance that management is setting the agenda and is making the decisions. Regardless of which country or company culture you work in, most projects depend on an effective, efficient, smooth execution across borders, time zones, etc. When you are in a meeting, too many participants are often not present. They read emails or do other stuff during the meeting. You need to be present. You're not expected to work during a meeting. To buy in on that, you need to have sufficient time in your calendar reserved to do your work. Too many meetings end too late, or people rush from one meeting to the other without a break. Meetings should end 5 to 10 minutes to the hour. Many of my clients have agreed on meetings typically being either 25 or 55 minutes of duration. In Outlook, for instance, it's possible to set up a default meeting length to avoid back-to-back meetings and allow for a 5 or 10 minute break. The second of the 4 implementation tools in the building block meeting management is clear agenda with a purpose, with the following headlines. A clear agenda, a purpose, and a success criterion drive most meetings. Only relevant participants are invited. Here is a proposed agenda checklist. Relevance Is the meeting necessary? Is the meeting the right forum for discussion? Participants. Only the right participants will be or should be invited to ensure that the objective is met. Preparations. Everyone has the responsibility to add points to the agenda, latest so and so many days before the meeting. The meeting agenda will be finally updated by the leader of the meeting, say 24 hours prior to the meeting. All input meetings, that's decision, brainstorming, etc., will have pre-reading, say 48 hours prior to the meeting start. Purpose. The meeting purpose and the success criteria will be called out in the agenda. Here are some examples on the type of meetings. Decision. Decide and provide feedback for action steps. Brainstorming. Ensure open and creative atmosphere. Use creative techniques. Briefing. For topics that cannot simply be sent by email. Bilateral. Supporting separate meetings with fewer participants. Here are some examples on the roles of the participants and the necessary details on meeting logistics. Leader, facilitator, timekeeper, note taker, clear details on meeting logistics, start, end, break times, documentation, meeting room. Is it Zoom? Is it Skype? Is it offline? What's the call-in number? The third of the 4 implementation tools in the building block meeting management is presentation, discussions, conclusion with the following headlines. Presentations, discussions, and a conclusion with next steps are part of most meetings. Usually they should take up 1/3 each. Meetings should be split into 1/3 presentation, 1/3 discussion, and 1/3 conclusion. If the meeting is scheduled for, say, 55 minutes, then 15 to 20 minutes are used for presentation, 15 to 20 minutes for discussion, and 15 to 20 minutes for conclusion and next steps or Q&A. Too many meetings end up with most of the time being used for one-way presentation or death by PowerPoint, and very little time is used for something else. A lot of unstructured discussions are taking place, leaving no time for conclusion and the next steps. Next steps: who will do what, by when. Format could be desired outcome, decisions, and actions due. The presenter has the responsibility to limit the material to fit 1/3 time frame. Otherwise, the facilitator can terminate the conversation or presentation. Each member will be responsible for their team's adherence to content. Each member is responsible for reading the pre-read prior to the meeting, not during the meeting. Please also eliminate distractions in the meeting, such as cell phones, computers, etc. Cell phones, if any, should be on silence for personal or emergency calls. Computers should only be open for presentation and minute taking. Create a meeting protocol. Use best practice. Discipline will give you more time also for social interaction. Being more organized and disciplined will give you the freedom to spend more time on issues which are truly important in your job or in your personal life. That includes how you orchestrate your meetings. Imagine if you could save 30 to 50% of the time of your meetings. Imagine if you could skip some of the recurring meetings. Imagine if you could increase the energy and participation. Doing this will give you more time to spend on important stuff and areas which matter to you. It will also allow more time for social interaction with your team. I recommend you and your team to create a protocol on how you wish to manage and discipline meetings. The protocol could look like this. When requesting time on the agenda, please include the following items: meeting title, meeting purpose, meeting objective, success criteria, length of time requested, participants needed. And here is a proposal for the meeting agenda process. All meeting requests need to be submitted to XY, whoever, no later than 10 days prior to the meeting. Meetings will be reviewed by the facilitator for relevance and determine if the agenda can accommodate the request. Only the necessary participants will be invited to ensure that the objective is met. The meeting invite and agenda will be distributed 1 week prior to the meeting and will not be changed. All meetings that will require input or decisions will require pre-reading to be sent out 48 hours prior to meeting start. Please send all pre-reading to XY whoever prior to this distribution. Any decision meetings without pre-reading will be cancelled on the agenda. The meeting purpose needs to be called out in the agenda: decision, brainstorming, briefing, etc. Wharton psychologist and New York Times best-selling author Adam Grant made a simple but powerful suggestion. He uses the 4 reasons rule to decide if a meeting is worthwhile: to decide, to learn, to bond, and to do. If it doesn't serve one of those purposes, cancel it. Thank you very much for taking part in this.